Hello, this is Sarah from Hardcover Hearts, and I'm here to do the Vlogmas Tag. This is a tag I was generously tagged by Sean the Book Maniac, and this was his original tag done with Britta Bowler. And so when such luminaries of our community tag you, you really do need to jump on it. So sorry for the delay, Britta and Sean, but here we go. So the first question, is they spell out Vlogmas. So the first one is for V is for Voyage. So pick a book with travel in it. So this is going to be so crazy. I find a lot of solace in this book, even though this book is about travel gone horribly, horribly, horribly wrong. It also gives me an opportunity to share one of my favorite Folio Society edition books. This is Shackleton's Boat Journey. And this is the real life story of Ernest Shackleton, who was a captain. And these are actual real photos. This is nonfiction. He was one of the explorers that was trying to go to one of the poles. And in doing so with his crew, they had a horrible, horrible accident and were stranded. The boat sank and they were stranded on an iceberg. What's miraculous about this story is every single one of the people survived, and they credit his leadership through. And I think they were missing for a few. I think at least a year, if not a few. It's been a while since I've read it. I really need to read it again. It is an outstandingly tense and illuminating story. I read it originally in National Geographic as a story, and I was so taken by it that I went out and looked for the book. The book that I read originally was called The Endurance, but it's in essence it's the same story, but it's not your typical travel story. And sometimes when I'm having a really bad day, I think, well, you know what? You're not on the Endurance. And it helps me. It helps me get some perspective. Okay, the next one is L is for LGBTQ. And for this one, I chose a book that I just loved so much. And it is Tin Man by Sarah Winman. And look at that. This American cover was just divine. And this is she actually was at one of the local bookstores and signed it, which was just lovely. Just think it's gorgeous. This is a beautiful, beautiful story of a man who had a deep love affair with another man and then fell in love with a woman. And his dealings with his memories and loss and love and friendship. Beautiful, beautiful story. Heartbreaker of a story. Next up, Oldie but Goodie. This is for O. For me, I was kind of, I'm doing the Cloak and Dagger Christmas, which is where you read mysteries for the month. And so I'm all in. Let me kind of introduce this one. Strong Poison by one of my favorites, Dorothy L. Sayers. This is a fantastic book. This is the story of, Lord Peter Wimsey. It's a Lord Peter Wimsey mystery. And he becomes aware of this trial. And the trial has a woman who's a writer at the heart of it. And she is on trial for murdering her lover. And what's most interesting about this is that she's a writer, a mystery writer, and she's written about poison. Her lover dies by poison. She must be guilty. Well, he doesn't buy it, and he has to go see the trial. So he works his way in the way that only Lord Peter Wimsey can, and goes and watches the trial, falls madly in love with her at first sight. Determined to save her and come in as the knight in shining armor. He meets up with her and then tries to help solve this crime. And she's feisty. She's not having his nonsense. She doesn't, I mean, the woman's in prison for a man already. Like, she needs to get involved in another one. So she is, you know, totally dismissive of him, but needs his help at the same time. It's great characters, great story. I love this one. So yes, this is an oldie and goodie. Next up is Gift. G is for gift. And so this is where you would talk about gifting books. So I find that most of my friends don't like books. They don't feel for books the way I do. So I tend to not give books for gifts because I've come away with the feeling that people think it's homework, that I'm giving them something to do that they may not want to do. So I tend to not give books as gifts, fundamentally, but I have come up with a solution. So whenever I'm invited to a kind of gift exchange kind of event, I do always bring a book, and people know I'll bring a book. And here's my thinking on this. If someone likes the book, great, they'll trade and get the book. Everyone wins. If they don't want the book, I can keep the book, and then I'm happy. So, right, win-win. So that's one way I get around that. But when it comes to the gifts I've received, the best 100% was 84 Charing Cross Road, signed by Helene Hanff. I know I've shown this many, many, many times, but it really is my one of my deepest treasures. Okay, next up. What is your feeling about Mass Market? M is for Mass Market books. I mean, I don't like them. I don't like them. It's not, if I have to, I'll get them, but I don't keep them. It's usually something like that I'll read and happy to leave at a destination, especially if I'm traveling or something like that. Just the quality is poor. The size is poor. I just don't tend to enjoy, and I don't tend to find the material that I really like to read in Mass Market. So if and when I can, if it's between a Mass Market and another format, I will buy the other format 100%. So next is A, all in the family. Do you come from a family of readers? Yes, my family, big readers. Not my extended family, but my mother and father, big readers. My father was on the board of directors for the public library, and my mother just reads constantly. She's going to be participating in Cloak and Dagger Christmas with me, which I'm thrilled about. And my mother was an educator. She was a teacher. And so literacy was always incredibly important. Reading and books were always important in my home. And I am so lucky that I'm so lucky that I married into a family where my mother-in-law is a reader, and she is a fantastic reader. She reads so many interesting books, fiction and nonfiction. And some of my best conversations I've ever had with her have been around books and reading. And I think she watches the channel. And so a big shout out to you, Mom. I adore you. I adore you. So yes, I'm incredibly lucky to have come from a family of readers. And then S is for Santa. Any books on my wish list? Yeah, so I would love to get the Carmen Maria Machado Dream Home, I think, or Dream House. I would love to get the Deborah Levy, her new book. I think those would be great. I love the Bibliomania. I think that's it. Bibliophile, the book of the libraries. That sounds fantastic. And I wouldn't get it for myself. But other than that, people usually don't, I think many people have said this before, they usually don't buy specific books from me because it's very, very hard to know what I already have and what I've already read. And especially because I rotate them in and out of my home. So, but I am always thrilled with a gift certificate to an independent bookstore. That just straight to my heart delight, because I can always find use for it. But that's kind of where that is. Yeah. So that's it. That's the Vlogmas tag. I kind of skimmed over the actual questions, but you get the gist. And I'll put what they truly are in the notes below, as well as the links to both Sean and Britta's original tags, so you can see those. And I'm trying. And then now's time when I get to tag people. So maybe if past story time, Shawnee and Bert, if you would like to take a stab at this for one of your Vlogmas days. I think Heather from Soggy Expat Readers already been tagged. Let me think. Tia for Tia in the Books, maybe if you wouldn't mind doing this. I'm trying to think of who hasn't been tagged. Sonia from An Enthusiastic Reader. I don't know if you've been tagged yet. Who else? Maybe Robert from Barter Hordes. Why don't you try this? And who else? It's hard to remember who's been tagged already. I think that should be good. So let's stop it there. But of course, if you're watching this and you're interested, please feel free to join in the fun, especially if you're having to create content for Vlogmas itself. May the spirit be with you for that one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.